meeting of Thursday, January 26, 2017. Roll call, please.
Yes, sir. Mr. Anderpont?
Here.
Mr. Brame?
Here.
Mr. Collins?
Here.
Mr. Farnham?
Here.
President Guidry?
Here.
Mr. Guillory?
Here.
Mr. Hunter? Mr. Landry? Mr. Latour? Ms. Mayo?
Here.
Mr. McMillan was unable to attend this evening. Mr. Scott?
Oh, here. I'm still missing Hal.
Mrs. Trimming? Here. Mr. White?
Here.
And Chairman Beers.
Here.
You do have a quorum.
Item number 3, receive report from staff regarding the Nelson Road and Ham Reed Road roundabout project. Mr. Connor?
Yes, sir, Mr. Bears. I don't believe Merrick showed up. They were invited, but I'm going to have Cliff Bruhart, our traffic engineer, who has oversight on the project. I'm going to ask him to come up and kind of give you an overview of where we are on the project. And so, Cliff, oh, there you are. You don't mind?
Evening, jurors. Cliff Bruhard, Parish Traffic Engineer. On the December 15th meeting, Mr. Scott had requested that we bring him an update at the next committee meeting. So we're here tonight to do that. And I want to kind of give you all an overview of what has been accomplished since that last meeting. So at that last meeting, we had quite a bit of rain, and the contractor had spent a lot of time out there moving the dirt around, trying to get it prepared to continue forward. After that meeting, they happened to see the news, I believe, and I think it kind of lit a fire under them. And the next day, they were out there cutting lime, which got the dirt dried up, and they were able to, after that, once it was dried up, they brought in about 1,561 cubic feet of soil, which brought them up to the proper grade for cutting soil cement on that project. They've since done that. That was 4,130 square yards of subgrade material that they cut, and that's 50% of the subgrade material on the project. And then over the last week or so, they have poured 2,241 square yards of concrete, which is approximately 26% of all the travel lane concrete on the project. I spoke with Merrick today, and their job foreman said he wasn't going to be here tonight. He wanted to apologize for that, but he was not going to be able to make it. And we spoke about the project moving forward. Tomorrow, they're going to be breaking forms on the stuff that they poured today, and we have a video in a minute that I'll show y'all. It's got a lot of you can see what's out there currently. We took the video at about 3:30 this afternoon. So they're going to be breaking forms and topping out the catch basins along the edge of the road, and they're going to be forming up for some more concrete pours later in the weekend. And he believes that within 2 to 3 weeks, we will be ready to flip over to the west side of the project. So I don't know if y'all want to ask questions now or if y'all want to watch the video first. You want to watch the video first?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So it's about 1 minute and 14 seconds. The darker concrete here, the dark area is what they poured today.
Looking north.
Yes, this is looking north at the moment. Now this is looking west. You can see traffic moves pretty good through the area still.
East.
Looking back towards the east side, Hamry Crestview side.
They moved some cars over there. The school bus again.
If you might mention also that some of the construction you're seeing off to that northeast corner, Entergy's going through and replacing a lot of the Highline poles. So
Right, they're
that's
doing it.
going on in conjunction with this particular project.
And Trump Pine.
Okay, and then I got a still photo of the overall project. So if y'all have any questions about any particular part, we can talk about it specifically.
Okay, I got Mr. Brame would like to ask you a question.
Okay.
not really a question, but comment. I know Dennis does too. Next time you go do the drone, let me go out there. I want to operate it.
Okay.
It'll probably crash, but, yeah, since the last meeting that Mr. Scott brought up the, well, I guess you can say the lack of work, I guess that was about 4 weeks ago. I can see in 4 weeks, it's unbelievable the amount of work that they've done. So it's just, I guess my comment is that I'm excited to see it having some progress there. And I guess I do have a question. Do you think is this the side that's more complicated? I mean, they're both, it's an intersection, so I don't know if one side's more than the other, but do you think the other side is going to be easier to do than this side, since they already have half of it done and take less time?
Yes, sir, I do. One of the things that slowed this side down was that the city of Lake Charles requested that we move their water line that's in this area as part of the project rather than them going in there and doing it ahead of the project. And a good portion of that beginning of the project was us moving their water line, so that did slow this side down a little bit. So the other side should move quite a bit faster.
Good. And so when the side that they're working on now is complete, it's just going to work as basically a same way the west side is right now, but except with that half circle.
Yes, sir.
Because what's working now is the traffic's flowing really good.
Right. So on the east side, when we flip over, Nelson Road will remain 2 lanes. So we will have the opportunity to use the 1 lane to go south, 1 lane to go north. And we are going to bring Hamreed in and do some temporary striping to get it to come to a T-type intersection to allow basically the same type of flow to happen through there. There'll be some, curvature through the flow of the intersection because of the curve of the roundabout, but it should function relatively the same.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Cliff.
Mhm.
Mr. Scott.
Mr. Scott?
Oh, and I got that photo for you, Mr. Brame.
Oh, that is, yeah, the flag.
Flagpole.
That's awesome. Hey, Mr. Guidry, American flag.
I'm gonna talk to Tim about that.
I mean, yours is terrible right now. It's all tore up over there. They got all
Talk to
dug
Tim
up and
about
tear
that.
up. I was like, man, bad over
I'm
there.
gonna have to discuss it.
Oh, that's the city though,
Seems to
ain't
be a
it?
little bit larger too, though. I was wondering about the dimensions of that one, Tim.
So this one's
Seems to be a little
bigger.
bit larger.
It is a little bit bigger.
Yeah. It outdoes yours, Kevin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple quick comments. I would like to see a little bit better, I know past couple weeks they've really been getting after it working, but some of the stormwater prevention out there is a little less than desirable. I've mentioned it a couple times, but I really would rather see them lay concrete. But if you look to the north, that first drain just past that newest concrete, you could see where the dirt is piling up, and I've watched them wash their equipment and stuff there, so they need to get one of them little round hay things that they stick in front of it, just to keep a lot of that. And then to the south side over here, a lot of that silt fencing is kind of just sitting on top of it and should be down in the ground a little bit, because it's just washing under it on them heavy rains and heading straight to all our drainage, that underground drainage right there. So at least get them to, tighten that up from time to time when they see the weather's coming. You sent out a report that maybe February 16th might be close to an opening day as far as what they're telling. Is that something we can feel comfortable with?
Opening day for the whole project?
No,
or-
for an opening day to get Crestview comfortable and not having 400% increase in traffic flowing through there.
I think mid-February is probably
Good weather, we got great
reasonable
weather.
considering
Looks like
good
to
weather.
be.
Yeah, it may be he's saying 2 to 3 weeks, so that would put us in, I think, about that time frame.
Well, like I said, lots of people out there now, lots of equipment, so there's definitely a change in the way they're moving forward, and maybe it has to do with the liquidated damages that begin to take shape pretty soon. So, last thing, Mr. Connor, we're talking about those entrance and exits to Crestview, and that was part of a bid package and the pre-bid. Once this part is open, do you think they're gonna be taking care of them islands pretty soon?
Those entrances to Crestview?
Yes.
Yeah, they're currently under contract right now.
So So you think they're gonna be, I know it's part of a package, a big package. Do you think they're gonna be looking at doing that anytime soon?
Yes, I do. I'll try to get you a more firm date, but it should be happening fairly soon.
All right. Well, thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Brewhart.
Mhm.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Scott. Mr. Farnum?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. When was this picture taken?
Today.
Today? And I understood you to say that Ham Reed Road to the east is gonna be functional? When they flip the road over?
Yes, sir.
And, it looks like they're a pretty good ways away from having a functional Ham Reed Road there.
That little section on the bottom corner of your screen there was poured in a day. So they're out there currently laying some forms for the, I guess that would be the south side of the roadway. So they should be pouring that not too long from now, and then they've got a couple little gaps they've got to fill in they had to keep them open so they could get their concrete trucks in there. But once it's all connected, which, like I said, that's about 26% of the concrete, so they're about halfway finished with the concrete work on that
So
side.
they're saying that in 2 to 3 weeks, they'll fill in all the gaps on the east side of that intersection and
Yes,
make
sir.
it functional.
What's out there now, they've poured in about a week.
Okay, good deal, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Farnum. Mr. White?
Thank you. I guess it's for Tim. What was the estimated time frame on this project to be finished up?
Cliff, what was the contract time? It was
The
like-
original contract time was 6 months.
So when would that date end? And this project should have been finished. I'm just trying to figure out how many days overdue is this project gonna run?
I think with the couple of change orders that had taken place around February the 4th or something.
It is mid-February, I think it's now mid-February, maybe February 14th.
That's with the last change order
That's with the
because
last
of the
change
bolster blocks that were included.
Correct.
So the expected time frame for it to be finished now is when? What are they saying now?
For the total project,
Yeah.
the total project is probably going to be closer to April, May.
April, May, yeah.
Because you've got the other side still to do.
Thank you.
And there is some additional work that needs to be added, some improvements to the island that have been added since the project has been let. We're going to do some things besides just a grassy area. We're going to be making some improvements to the inner island. So.
They will be getting some additional time for that, so it could push it into March.
Thank you, Mr. White. Mr. Brame?
Hey, since we're on the roundabouts, Cliff, what's the timeline on the Elliott Ham Reed? Are we, and I guess Lake also? Are they, a year down the road?
I'll start at Lake End. The Lake project, we have 95% plans. Neil Schaefer turned those into us about 2 weeks ago. We're in the review process of the 95% plans now.
Okay.
Once we get those reviewed and our comments are incorporated, we'll be ready to start looking at right-of-way and utility relocates and those types of things. On that end, we won't be taking any homes. That one, we were able to maneuver to not have to take any homes. The Elliott Road to Big Lake project, we've had a couple of conflicts with pipelines and things of that nature, so we're trying to nail down exactly where that roundabout needs to go so we can take off from there.
Right.
Apart from that, we're pretty much pretty close to set on that end, and we've actually started acquiring some right-of-way along that corridor there, but,
Good deal. Thank you, Cliff.
Mr. Farnum?
Thank you. One more question. Are they getting an extension on this project because of the change orders that we've given them?
When you do a change order and there's additional work involved, you do have to include some time to accomplish those.
So the liquidated damages of the part of the contract that they've been so lax on so far won't take effect for a few more weeks then?
That's correct. With the change orders, it pushes the contract time out. It does.
That sounds like a reward for poor performance.
only
He's
half
still
the
under the
project.
gun, and
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Farnum. Mr. Scott?
Do you think that Lake Street will still get let this year?
that I would say probably not in 2017, I wouldn't
a
imagine.
big factor of that, Mr. Scott, is the right-of-way and the core permit. Those are two variables that we don't always have a lot of control over, but we
Y'all
are.
can say cord just to make sense.
So, So we are pursuing it, and we'll get it done as quick as we can, but those are two factors that, as you, I'm sure you're aware of, that we have very little control over the timing of that.
And on a different, that new high line that they've been putting up right there, watching them do that at the speed that they've been doing that that's amazing. And then watching that helicopter pilot the other day, stringing that cable on those towers, just flying by it and hooking it on a little pulley as he flew by, and then I was like, wow, that was amazing. That's cool. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
That's it. Motion to receive report.
Second. Got any discussion?
Already had that.
Gotta do the rules, man.
Please, not anymore.
No objections, motion carries.
Very good.
Item 4,
Voting for all bullets.
consideration of making a recommendation with reference to adopting resolutions approving the following items related to the Coach Williams Drive Extension Project. We have a motion by Mr. Andrew Ponton, second by Mr. Guidry. Any discussion? Any objections?
Point of order, Mr. Chairman, read them into the record. The bullets.
Oh, 10-4. Item A, expropriation of property owned by Stream Family Trust LLC. Item B, expropriation of property owned by Hooks McMahon Family LLC et al. And Stream Family Limited Partnership. Item C, expropriation of a utility and drainage servitude owned by David A. Abshire. And item D, servitude agreement from Axial LLC. Motion by Mr. Andrew Ponton, a second by Mr. Guidry. Any discussion? Any objections? Hearing none. Motion carries. Item number 5, consideration of making a recommendation with reference to adopting a resolution approving an active sale agreement for the purchase of property from CC Corner Properties LLC for the Country Club Road and Elliott Road intersection improvement project. Got a motion by Mr. Guillory and a second by Mr. Scott. Any discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, motion carries. Item 6 is an advised item that advised that Calcasieu Parish was found to be in full compliance by the Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development for the 2016 annual review, which will assure the parish's continued participation in the federal bridge replacement program through October 2017. Item 7, any other matters for consideration?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second, meeting adjourned.
Call to order the Agenda Committee meeting for Thursday, January 26, 2017. Purpose of today's committee meeting is to formulate an agenda for the regular meeting of the police jury on February 2nd, 2017. Need a motion and a second to pull item 16.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Brame, second by Mr. Barris, to pull item 16, all bullets. Item A, Ms. Danny Joyce Markentale, Community Center and Playground District Number 1 of Ward 6.
Yes, Ms. Morcantill served for many, many years and chose to step down and move to appoint Jeanette Peterson Teeter.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to appoint Ms. Jeanette Peterson Teeter. Ms. Trimmy, seconded by Mr.
Second.
White. we have any discussion on this item? Any objection? Hearing none, that motion will carry. Item B,
I'd like to move to appoint Mr. Jason Leonards.
Ms. Renette Guillory, Community Center and Playground District Number 7 of Ward 2. We have a motion to appoint Mr. Jason Leonards by Mr. Latour, second by Ms. Mayo. Discussion on this item. Objection. Hearing none, that motion carries. Item C, Mr. Irving Keith
I'd like to
Thibodeau,
move to appoint Mr. Ricky
Waterworks
Batchelor.
District Number 8
Second.
of Wards 3 and 8. We have a motion to appoint Mr. Ricky J. Batchelor by Mr. Latour, seconded by Mr. Guidry. Discussion? Objection? That motion carries. Item D, Mr. George Hurd, Memorial Hospital Service District.
I'll move on that.
Second.
We have a motion to reappoint, I'm assuming.
Yes, reappoint.
Reappoint
Yeah.
by Mr. Brame, seconded by Mr. Guidry. Any discussion on this item? Any objection? Hearing none, that motion will carry. Mr. Corney,
Move on E.
Boone,
Second.
Memorial Hospital Service District. We have a motion to reappoint by Mr. Guidry, second by Ms. Trimming. Discussion on this item. Objection. That motion carries. Item F,
Move to
Mr.
reappoint.
George E.
George
Miller, Waterworks District Number 14 of Ward 5. We have a motion to reappoint by Ms. Trimming, second by Mr. Barris. Discussion. Objections. Hearing none, motion carries. Item G, Mr.
Move to
Hiram.
Move to reappoint Mr. Hiram.
DeRuzo II, Airport District Number 1. We have a motion to reappoint by Mr. Scott, second by Mr. Guidry. Any discussion? Objection? That motion carries. Item H,
Move to reappoint.
Mr. Nathan Spencer,
Second.
Gravity Drainage District Number 6 of Wards 5 and 6. Motion by Ms. Trimmy to reappoint, second by Mr. White. Discussion? Objections? Hearing none, motion carries. Item I,
Move
Mr.
to
J.C.
reappoint
Madison,
J.C.
Gravity District
Madison.
Number 6 of Wards 5 and 6. Motion by Ms. Trimmy to reappoint, second by Mr. White. Any discussion on this item? Any objection? Hearing none, the motion will carry. Item J, Children and Youth Planning Board. We have several for that particular board, and I'll
Move
read
on all
those
bullets.
into the record.
Move on.
Second.
Take them one by one, though.
Yeah, let's take them one by one. Item 1 under J, Michelle Piper.
Appoint Dr. Michelle Jobert.
I have a motion by Mr. Scott to appoint Dr.
Second.
Michelle Jobert,
Second.
second by Mr. Brain. Discussion, objection, hearing none, motion carries. We've got number 2, just thinking a way we could lump some together, but we'll take them one at a time. Ms. Vala Johnson,
Reappoint.
Second.
motion by Mr. Scott to reappoint, second by Mr. Collins. Discussion, objection, that motion carries. Number 3, Mr.
So
Kevin
move.
Second.
Kirkham. We have a motion to reappoint by Mr. Guidry, second by Mr. Guillory. Any discussion, objection, that motion carries.
Sounds good.
I'm just calling them like I'm showing.
Looking like anyway.
I gotta speak up.
Item 4,
Reappoint.
So moved.
Mr. Mike Byrne. Motion by Mr. Scott, second by Mr. Guidry. Discussion on this item. Objection. That motion carries. Number 5, Ms. Brittany
Appoint
Belchavis.
Bethany Blackson.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Scott to appoint Ms. Bethany Blackson, second by Mr. Barris. Discussion? Objections?
I thought Mr. Sam.
Mr.
Mr. Sam
Guillory.
wanted to speak on that.
Thank
It appears that the following, from 7 through the end, 24 are all.
Move to
Six.
reappoint 7 through
Number
24.
6.
Just it's
Thank you very much.
Reappoint by acclamation instead of going through one by one.
I think at this point, we
I think
did
we-
number 6 already.
We
correct?
can read them into the record, and we could take all the rest of them as a group.
I would think just read the names. I think at that point, we're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll read all those names, and we'll take one motion to reappoint the rest
Thank
of
you,
the
legal
folks
counsel.
there. And that's starting with item 6. Number 6, Mr. Harry Fontenot. Number 7, the Honorable Lillian Cottrell. Number 8, the Honorable Guy Bradbury. Number 9, Mr. Bill Summers. Number 10, Ms. Stephanie Argosky. Yes. Number 11, Ms. Janet Fontenot. Number 12, Ms. Leslie Nolan. Number 13, Ms. Charmaine Anderson. Number 14, Ms. Leslie Bro. Number 15, Ms. Amy Dunn. 16, Pastor Jeffrey Ralston. 17, Reverend Mel Estes. 18, Mr. Julio Galan. Number 19, Ms. Grace Bobber Lubo. Number 20, Reverend Charlie Williams IV. Number 21, Pastor Norman Thomas. 22, the Honorable W. Mitchell Redd. Number 23, Mr. Dennis Scott. We may need to take a roll call
I
on that.
think on both of those 23 and
24, Mr. Tony
So
Gillis.
move to reappoint.
We have a motion by
Hillary,
Mr. Guillory to reappoint all of the above.
Latour.
Second by Mr. Latour. Any discussion on these items? Any objection? Hearing none, that motion carries. Now, do we need to have one to take them all, or? That
You're done.
That
We're
did the
done.
trick.
We're done.
All right.
Moving on to
Let's
7.
move on 17, and next week I'll have the resolution to be able to.
We have discussion on
Do we need to take action on 17?
that's
Can't
not
take
till-
action on
no, that's not
17.
I don't think so.
Need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So move.
We are adjourned.
Very good, sir.